All right. Good afternoon to those of you who have joined us today. Just going to give a couple more minutes for some that may be running a little behind, and then we'll be able to get started. All right, once we hit about 1:02, I'll go ahead and kick this thing off. Okay, good afternoon, those of you who have joined us today for the Appliance Upgrade Program check-in today we're having for the participating contractors. We will be reviewing an overview of the program, showing how to validate and redeem coupons, calculate incentives, and also how to upload the quality install documentation. Just before we begin, I want to make sure to briefly introduce the team. My name is Audrey Averett. I will be presenting today as an implementation contractor and project manager for the implementation contractor team. Colleen McCarty will also be presenting where she assists with the contractor and retailer support. Additionally, we have Frank Mace, who reviews the quality install documentation that's submitted to our team. And Peter Kerwin will be collecting questions that are asked in the chat, and he supports the call center. And then we have Elizabeth Lepe, who will be assisting with any customer application processing related questions from that customer facing side. Just a couple of meeting expectations for today. We want you to keep your microphones muted until the official questions and answers session at the end of the presentation. We would like for you to ask questions by using the chat feature in Teams directly, where we will have a member of our team collecting these questions to be addressed at a later time. And also you will have some of the questions addressed in the chat feature by some of our team members. We want you to refrain from sharing any application specific concerns, anything connected to customers. We do not want to share any customer information, as this session is being recorded to be distributed and referenced at a later time. Please hold any questions for presenters until the end of the presentation. As previously mentioned, we will allow a Q&A session at the end of the presentation, where we will be requesting feedback and addressing any questions that we can at that time. So please provide feedback to us, as we are a team and we hope to improve this process for you as a contractor and also as the residents of New York State that are participating with this program. And as mentioned, the Q&A will be collected to be distributed at a later time. We have a table of contents just to review what we will be addressing today, and also to reference at a later time, once you have access to this presentation. So all of the material that we are reviewing, we will distribute to you at a later time, so that way you can access this information in the event that you need an additional reminder or a walkthrough of any of the subject matter that we are covering today. So we will start with a program overview. As we understand, it's very important to understand what we're doing with the program and how we are supporting the customers for this program. So of course, we start by submitting an application where you as a participating contractor can assist with this effort, in addition to clean energy hubs that can also aid with this effort. We encourage applicants to use the income verification tool to determine the eligibility prior to applying, where they would just select the county in which they live and enter the household numbers that they have in the house to move forward. Once they submit an application, our team reviews the application. And once it's approved, they receive the coupon via email or mail, depending on their selected method of receiving this information. And then, of course, the appliance coupon is redeemed at the participating retailer of where the person is purchasing the appliance. And the installation coupons are redeemed with the participating contractor such as yourselves. And this is in relation to the electrical wiring, panel upgrades, or the appliance installation additionally. And then you as a participating contractor and also the participating retailers, use the My Energy portal to enter this information. You will use the My Energy portal to validate coupons and calculate the available rebates. And then, of course, once you submit that documentation for review, NYSERDA would be able to review the documentation submitted to confirm the reimbursement that will be provided to you from NYSERDA. And I'll review this even more so in the additional slides. So, of course, as mentioned, we start by submitting an application. So as mentioned, you are able to assist customers with applying. We actually highly encourage it where you can print the physical paper application to keep in your offices or to distribute to customers that you would like to participate with this program, where they can fill out the paper application and receive support from you with this effort. And in the event that you or a customer needs support, they're encouraged, or you are encouraged, to contact our customer service representative team, where they are available for application support 7 days a week between 8:30 a.m. and 8 o'clock p.m. And the number is listed on the screen. You'll see that referenced a few different times during the slideshow presentation as well. We just want to remind you, of course, as I mentioned, we're a team, right? We want to make sure that we're supporting one another with this effort. Once the application is submitted, of course, then it will be reviewed by NYSERDA accordingly. And this review process occurs within 1 to 7 business days. Dependent upon bugs, it could take, up to that 7-day period of time. But we work back and forth with you and the customer in that effort. Once the application is approved, an electrical upgrade project is then created and approved. What this does is it triggers the system to send an approval notice to the preferred contact method, as previously mentioned, where the applicant will receive the email they will receive either an email or a letter containing both of the coupons and instructions for redemption. So this communication contains the appliance and installation coupon codes, which we will include as a reference later within the slideshow presentation. If needed, of course, a customer can work with a participating contractor for the electrical wiring, panel upgrades, or the appliance installations, including gas capping, which is a requirement for those which have an already existing gas dryer. So in order to receive these rebates for the electrical wiring or panel upgrades, customers must work with a participating contractor. What that means is if someone has work done, by a contractor that is not a participant of the program, then unfortunately that customer would not be able to access those rebates or receive those incentives, where if you're not a participating contractor, you wouldn't be able to redeem the coupon code. So customers will select and contract with one of you as a participating contractor. And just to specify, this contract and agreement is handled by you as the participating contractor with your business. NYSERDA does not provide a template for this agreement. However, if you would like to reach out to our team for support with it, we can certainly provide some clarification about what should be specified accordingly and try to help you navigate this if needed. But you as a participating contractor, just so you're aware of your involvement and how you can aid with this effort, you can assist with the purchase, pickup, and or delivery of the appliance as requested by a customer. We understand that some customers may not be able to physically pick up the dryer or bring it to their home, where you would be asked to help with this. And you may be able to receive incentives for the installation and just providing that support to a customer. So any participating contractors and retailers are, of course, advised to contact our team if you have any questions or concerns regarding any rebates or incentives available through NYSERDA, and you can email us at iraretail@nyserda.ny.gov. So once the customer selects and contracts with you as a participating contractor, then the customer would provide the installation coupon code to you as the participating contractor. Now, prior to redemption, you as the participating contractor would use the My Energy portal to confirm first that the installation coupon code is valid for redemption, and then calculate the rebates for the electrical wiring or the panel upgrade installations, depending on the qualified electrical project scope. Now, this will help aid with the estimate creation for your customer that is needed to create that contract to agree to move forward with you in the first place. So just to clarify understanding here, the customer is responsible for any costs that are not covered by not covered or exceeded by the coupon. So the customer invoice should clarify what incentives are available through NYSERDA and also include the customer's expectation for payment. So we've included an example on the screen. That way you can reference that accordingly to clarify the customer's responsibility of what they should cover with your invoice. Just additional clarification about the wiring rebates and the panel rebates available. Of course, there is a maximum incentive possible based upon the applicant's approval of what they're eligible to receive. And that is also listed here. For the electrical wiring rebates, there is a maximum possibility of up to $2,500. And this eligible measure really depends on which type of coupon that the customer was eligible for. If they are between 80 to 150% of the area median income within their area, of course, then they would be approved for a 50% coupon. If they are less than 80% of that AMI, then they would qualify for the 100% off coupon. And we'll cover this additionally in more slides too. And as we mentioned on the previous slide about the additional incentives which you can receive just for being helpful and helping with the installation, those additional incentives are listed here too, where you could be able to receive that $150 for the installation of the appliance or the $200 for the installation of an appliance in a disadvantaged community. And we've included tools that you'll be able to reference to review the disadvantaged communities identification, and also clarify the income verification, or clarify through use of the income verification tool which type of rebates would be available to a customer before proceeding forward. So of course, we've included the customer rebates amounts and additional clarification, which this is visible on the website additionally. So if you would like to review, of course, we have these resources available for your review at any time. Okay, and just for clarification, these coupons are redeemed separately. So the installation coupon is redeemed by the participating contractor, where you would submit the quality install documentation through the My Energy portal. And that submission includes the pre and post installation photos, the customer invoice, and load calculations when applicable. And all of those documents are uploaded through the My Energy portal, which uploads directly to the electrical upgrade project record, which allows NYSERDA to review. The quality install submittals that are reviewed by NYSERDA, of course, are reviewed to confirm that they do follow all of the local and state laws, codes, and regulations. We just want to make sure that everything is completed within accordance with the program, in accordance with the Department of Energy, and so on. Okay, and of course, the appliance coupon is redeemed at the participating retailer, where the appliance coupon is provided by the customer to the participating retailer at checkout, either in-store or online if this is offered by the retailer, to be applied at checkout for that appliance purchase. And of course, whenever they are purchasing these appliances, they have to be on the Energy Star qualified products list, or they wouldn't be eligible to receive or be applied to that coupon. And just as a reminder, the customer is responsible for additional costs not covered or exceeded by the coupon. This is in the same manner for the appliance coupon as well. The participating retailer submits sales documentation to confirm the purchase, and what is submitted is that sales documentation, which needs to be submitted within 30 days of the appliance coupon redemption, meaning it needs to be submitted within 30 days after the customer makes their purchase in a CSV template format, which is available on the My Energy portal to be referenced accordingly. The qualified project cost and the rebate amount and the confirmation of delivery needs to match to the applicant project address. Those are key requirements to confirm the reimbursement for a participating retailer. As mentioned, the appliance and installation coupons are redeemed separately. So the appliance coupon is connected to the appliance upgrade project record. And these coupons can be extended upon request, or a new coupon could be assigned. You just need to contact our team to aid with this effort, and you can reach us with the call center or send us an email to aaup@nyserta.ny.gov. Any returns or exchanges are processed through participating retailers, but it's very important to note that the customer has to work with NYSERDA before trying to return that, just to confirm eligibility. For example, if an applicant received any electrical incentives or updates there, that would be something that wouldn't be able to happen, right? They wouldn't be able to return that. So we would have to confirm ability or eligibility before doing so. But after a return or exchange is made, then the customer would then need to provide the receipt or proof of order, cancellation, or return to receive a new coupon specifically. And the installation coupons are connected to the electrical upgrade project record. And these installation coupons may be extended upon request. And this can be requested by customers, hubs, or yourself, where you would contact our team at iraretail@nyserta.ny.gov. So you would use the installation code within My Energy to calculate the available incentives and also claim the project. So that way another contractor wouldn't be able to claim that project or use that coupon code at all. Once you've claimed the project, then you would be able to upload that quality install documentation for the entire qualified electrical project scope accordingly. Now, upon approval of that quality install documentation and the sales documentation submitted by the contractors and retailers respectively, the AUP record and the EUP record will be marked as completed within Salesforce. Once this is marked as complete on our end with NYSERDA, invoices are then created for reimbursement for the respective rebate amounts to the particular contractors and retailers. It's at this step that you as a participating contractor would receive payment for your installation incentives. And just as a note, residents can only participate in the Appliance Upgrade Program or the Empower Plus program at a time, and vice versa. So once a project is completed through the Appliance Upgrade Program, for example, then someone would be able to apply for Empower interchangeably. Okay, and once you complete that quality install, once everything has been submitted to our team and it has been approved by NYSERDA, the customer and you as the participating contractor receive a project completion confirmation via email. Through the contact method that was mentioned by the customer. They might receive it in a letter, but you would receive it via email. Essentially what it mentions is it clarifies the measures of which you requested payment for. And then it also specifies just a disclaimer that if any electrical upgrades were included, that the appliance can no longer be returned, as I mentioned in a previous slide, which may be affected if you do complete any work for this customer. Okay, it's very important to know how to contact our team in the event that you need support with anything through this program. So I just want to clarify understanding of how you can reach our team. So you can, on the website, once you're logged in, you can refer to the support feature on the page. And it's marked accordingly as support. Once you're logged in, it has the option to send an email directly to us using the format that's on the screen that you can see here. And of course, you can certainly give us a call at 866-NYSERDA at option 4. As a reminder, we are open 8:30 a.m. to 8 o'clock p.m., 7 days of the week. Or you can email us, whether you need application support at aup@nyserta.ny.gov, or if you have any questions, particularly about your participation as a contractor or retailer, then you're encouraged to email our team at iraretail@nyserta.ny.gov. Okay, now I will pass the floor over to Colleen McCarty, where she will review the participating contractor participation. So Colleen, you have the floor.
Thank you, Audrey. You can go to the next slide. Like Audrey said, my name is Colleen. I'm the coordinator for the contractor and retailer support team. I'm now going to go over the qualifications for becoming a participating contractor. Obviously, if you are attending this meeting live, you are already a registered contractor with us, but as a comprehensive presentation, we're going to share this information with potential new contractors as well. So to become a participating contractor, anyone interested is going to have to meet the minimum requirements for their specific trade and municipalities. You must submit licenses if they are required for your trade or area that you intend to provide services to. The application process includes the submission of the signed contractor participation agreement, liability insurance, customer references, and other trade-specific requirements. If you ever need help in this process with the application, you are more than welcome to email that IRA Retail email. Next slide, please. All contractors must agree to the contractor participation agreement and all the information that is available in our program manual. This is a Department of Energy requirement and mandate, so not doing so can result in program termination. You also have access to all of our support and training sessions as part of being a participating contractor. Next slide, please. We're now going to go into what the specific service provider categories are defined as well as any specific requirements we have for these. So for the appliance installers category, this means that you are able to plug in the new appliances and set up the drains and vents. If you are intending to apply as an electrician or plumber, you can also add in being an appliance installer. Next slide. We also encourage any retailer to apply as a contractor under the appliance installer if they are intending to set up the appliance themselves. Because like Audrey mentioned a little bit earlier, they are eligible for an incentive, and setting up the appliance is an incentive they can just gain on their own. Next slide, please. Electricians are going to be able to perform electrical wiring and panel upgrade installations within the scope of their licenses. These are only to be done if deemed necessary for the appliance installation, and you will need to provide a license for this, and the license needs to be active and current and have the names attached to them. And it needs to be for the place that you are doing work in. Again, the exception to this is if you are planning on working in a municipality that does not require a licensed electrician for this work. Plumbers may perform gas capping for these qualified electrical projects that require it, and they also must provide these licenses. Again, if you're working in a municipality that doesn't require it, you do not have to. And then for gas capping specifically, like I said, some places do not require a licensed plumber for gas capping specifically. So plumbers can do this work without a license, but they are obviously still held to the state and local regulations. And I'm now going to pass it back over to Audrey, who's going to be going over the application submission process from the customer's point of view.
Thank you, Colleen. Yes, so in order to provide support with this effort, of course, you do have to have a My Energy Portal account, which we do have that information here. Of course, you as a participating contractor can aid a customer with some of the questions or concerns they may have. In the event that someone says they're having difficulty logging in, you are able to request a password reset on behalf of someone, where you would just need to enter their full email address and select the Forgot Password feature. We do encourage you to use the full email address .nycerta and also the full email address without .nycerta, as we understand that there could be different credentials with this step, but we just wanted to specify how you could aid with this effort. Additionally, whenever you're providing support with the application submission, we want to make sure that you understand what documentation is needed when aiding a customer with this effort. So we've clarified that additional information here for preparing documentation, of course. So ahead of the application submission, customers are advised to gather the required documentation. So we do need a preferred email address for the applicant contact, as this is needed for the geotagged appliance photo or the location of the intended installation. Any applicants that are unable to provide an email address will need to provide an additional contact person if possible. So for paper application submissions, in the event that this is not added to the application, then NYSERDA will contact the applicant or the additional contact person listed over the phone to ask if there is any email address. And of course, anyone that applies online, we would need you to contact us at NYSERDA specifically to request support, as we wouldn't be aware of the support needed until you're able to move forward to that step of submission. But once you're aiding a customer, we just want to make sure that they have the necessary documents. So one of which would be the proof of income. We would need income documentation where we review applications based on categorical eligibility or standard income eligibility, where I will review in the next slide of what is to be reviewed here. We do want any categorical income that's submitted to be dated within the last 12 months to be valid. Any standard income documentation that's submitted, the pay stubs need to be within 4 consecutive weeks and dated within the last 60 days. Unless it's a tax return, of course, we want the most recent tax return. But as mentioned, I will review that in the next slide. We also need the utility bills. We need the itemized electric and gas utility bills or a bill from the fuel supplier if they heat with propane, oil, kerosene, wood, or coal. And for renters, we do need building owner contact information or the physical paper certification to be signed and documented accordingly. So you, as a participating contractor, as previously mentioned, can have the paper application in your offices, and we also encourage the building owner certification form also to be in your offices for anyone that may be a renter to have this information handy. So that way you could be a one-stop shop, so to speak, in regards to submitting that information to us. We do encourage applicants to use the income verification tool available on the NYSERDA AUP webpage to determine income eligibility prior to the application submission. That way there's less confusion and less concerns about what they may be able to be eligible for. But of course, NYSERDA still has to review more officially to determine eligibility based on their submission and other factors that are considered when reviewing applications. So as a reminder, the 2 types of documentation that we allow would be categorical eligibility. This is essentially the public assistance letters that someone may receive that needs to be dated within the last 12 months. So that would include the HEAP or SNAP or SSI, TAMP, or the Weatherization Assistance Program award letters, or a benefit statement stating that they do receive this assistance. Just as a note, the supplemental security income is not the same as the Social Security income, which is like the Social Security award letters or otherwise. So the Social Security income is considered standard, which would be the income that I'll reference soon. When providing the Social Security as a proof of income, we would just select no for public assistance when prompted in My Energy, where they would just move forward to submit that as standard income. So additional clarity about that standard income, of course, as we mentioned, the pay stubs would need to be 4 consecutive weeks and dated within the last 60 days. So that means if someone's paid bi-weekly, we would need 2 of those pay stubs, or if they are paid weekly, we would need 4 of them, and so on. Or tax documentation, of course, is certainly acceptable. It's only available if all household members who are required to file a tax return did so. So that would be a 1040 or a W-2 or the SSA 1099s and so on. And anybody that is self-employed, of course, we would need that IRS report for the quarterly earnings for the last 3 months in that 1040 ES, or the 3 consecutive months of business records for the 3 months prior to application submission. If members of the household claim no income on the application, our team would conduct outreach just to clarify, how their situation references this and how best to proceed forward to assist them. And as mentioned, you don't have to memorize this information. This will be a resource available to you and also available on the website to reference at a later time too. And where you can find these resources as reference, the paper application and the building owner certification are available on the AUP webpage, where you would just select the download the application feature, where it's included in English and also 12 other languages to reference as needed. And if you need additional support with this, you can certainly give us a call with the call center or email our team. Additional resources that are available on the webpage would be the participating retailer list and the participating contractor list, the Energy Star qualified product list, and of course the AUP program manual. Just for clarification about the participating contractor list, as it stands, it currently is a PDF format where applicants would be able to review, or you would be able to find your name. But this will be adjusted soon to allow customers to review based on their zip code or county of which they live, and the list will populate based on those of you who service that specific area. Okay, and I just wanted to clarify some minor variations between the paper application and the electronic submission within MyEnergy. So on the paper application, there is a checklist to reference, which we strongly encourage you and applicants to use, where you can check mark based on what they have or what they don't have and clarify exactly what they need when they submit. Of course, having more of this information available will certainly ease the process for review. And then on section H of the paper application, applicants are asked about the voltage details of the outlet where the dryer will be installed, the size of the electrical panel box, and also the open breaker spots. If they select no or unsure, then they're just prompted to ask for assistance. But of course, you as a participating contractor can help clarify this information for any applicants that you aid with this effort. And as a reminder of what was mentioned before, in the event that someone doesn't have an email address listed, then we want them to provide an additional contact person's email address to aid with this effort. You as participating contractors can also support with this effort for that geotagged photo, because this is an expectation requirement based on the Department of Energy requirements for program participation. And as a reminder, you can certainly give us a call or email us if you need support with this effort. Okay, and as mentioned, whenever you are providing assistance with a customer, it will be a little bit different than the contractor perspective. So just wanted to clarify, if you are aiding applicants with uploading the geotagged photo, there is a walkthrough of how to do this included in this slideshow presentation. So as mentioned, it is a Department of Energy requirement. We have to allow location permissions in order to use this, this tool that I'm about to show you. And of course, just making sure that all location sharing permissions are turned on will certainly help with this step. So this is what we do for customers. Of course, again, this is a customer perspective, not the contractor perspective. Applicants are advised to take a photo with their smartphone rather than a computer, where they would select the upload photo feature. We want them to make sure that they have the necessary documents and materials to move forward with this step. And then once they're prompted to do so, they'll be able to use a smart device to use this, whether they are applying from something that may not be a smartphone. If the longitude and latitude numbers load for them, then they are able to use a feature for their smart device. But as mentioned, we do encourage them to use a mobile phone. They would just select choose file and upload accordingly. Now, if they're using an Apple device, they will be prompted to request permissions to allow location sharing. We want to make sure that they select allow, and then of course choose file, and then take a photo of the dryer once they've already allowed those permissions, to ensure that it does locate where they are and load properly based on the tool that's being used. Similarly, with the Android device, they need to make sure that they are allowing the location sharing permissions, select choose file, and then of course take the photo to proceed forward to the next step. Once they have successfully uploaded that photo, then they will receive a message on the screen stating that the photo has been successfully submitted, and the application will now be ready for review by the application processing team. In the event that any tech issues are experienced or the page is not working as intended, you or the customer, of course, are encouraged to give us a call or send us an email, where our customer support team will be able to aid with this effort. Okay, now we'll be reviewing how to validate and redeem the installation coupons within MyEnergy. And for this effort, I will be passing the floor over to Colleen McCarty.
Thank you, Audrey. If you just want to go to the next slide. So the first thing that you're going to want to keep in mind when you're validating and redeeming these coupons is that it is all done within MyEnergy. And MyEnergy is a different platform than the NYSERDA portal, or if you're on different NYSERDA programs, it might be a little bit different. So please note that MyEnergy is different, and all project management and coupon redemption needs to be done here. If you are unable to get into My Energy, or if you need a password reset, or if you don't see this find and redeem coupon button that's highlighted here, please reach out to that IRA retail email and we can reset your password and other permissions. We do recommend using Safari for My Energy. So the first thing that you're going to want to do once all this is set is click on that find and redeem coupon button. If you want to go to the next slide, you'll then type in the participating code and the customer's last name and then press search. And just as a reminder, if you want to go to the next slide, the code is found in the email or the paper letter that the preferred contact receives. So usually the customer will communicate this to you, or if you were the preferred contact, it'll go straight to you. And you can see the email example in this slide and where it is highlighted. It is important to keep in mind that there are a couple of different codes associated with the customer and the application. So please do make sure that you are entering that code from the email above in that installation code button, in that you are also double checking their last name and making sure that any hyphenation or double last names or spelling and other things are accounted for before you email us and say that you can't find it. So after successfully searching for this, you will see the coupon redemption status here. In the example that we're going to be using, we have not redeemed it, so it's going to look like this. And then also on that page, if you keep scrolling, you will see all of the coupon details. So this is going to outline what the customer rebate amount is and what the incentive amount for your services are. Like we kind of mentioned, you should already have an idea of this when you agreed to work with the customer. But this is just a reminder of everything, and it has everything laid out. So you're going to want to look at this coupon code and rebate information before you even get to the home of the customer, and just familiarize yourself with how much of the project is being paid for by NYSERDA. Like we mentioned, the rebate amount is what NYSERDA is able to pay, and if the project cost exceeds this amount, the customer themselves is going to be the one paying. The next step is to use the estimation tool. So first you're going to click on the estimate your customer's electrical rebates, where you will provide the estimates of your material cost of the panel and wiring installations. Essentially, this is the quote that you can communicate to the customer, and it takes into account the rebate qualifications and what you expect it to cost with materials and labor, so that you have a number to tell the customer. Next slide. This is just a larger display of what you'll enter here for that calculation. The next step is, oh yeah, perfect. The next step is for gas capping, if applicable. The project scope will automatically indicate if gas capping is required, just based on the customer's application. You're then going to need to check off what the project scope applicable is. And if you do not check off the certain project measures that are mentioned here in step 7, this means that you are not requesting a reimbursement for that project measure. Additionally, you will get this kind of message if you are not licensed or verified, or you don't have the correct categorization for the measure that you're trying to do per your contractor category. And you will not be able to move on from this step if you are not licensed for what you said that you were going to be doing. The next step is to clarify who did the work and if they are a subcontractor or primary contractor. So you'll need to clarify if you are submitting the quality install documentation as the primary contractor, or if you hired a subcontractor, which is going to be option 2 there, or if you are the only contractor. You'll then need to check the box to confirm that you are the primary contractor. And like we said, like there can only be one contractor put down on the project who essentially gets paid. So if there are these other contractors involved as subcontractors or anything else, the primary contractor is going to be the one who gets paid for that and then can disperse from there. Next slide, perfect. So if you selected option 1 or 2 in the page before, you will be prompted to select the actual contractor who is working within that measure. And once you do that, so once you select from those drop-down menus, you will be able to press confirm and claim once you have selected the primary contractors. You'll then need to confirm that the customer's municipality requires gas capping or not. So once you do this and you've confirmed that, you will click confirm and claim. And that is the end of the redemption portion. You're going to get this congratulations message once it's done correctly. And we just do want to re-emphasize that claiming these coupons happened prior to project completion. So essentially the dryer needs to be in place before you do the work. Once the coupon has been redeemed, the page will reload and you'll have this now green font showing that you've redeemed it. Again, before you submit these QI documentation, you need to ensure that the appliance is in the residence and that the images that you took are geotagged. And please don't start submitting these QI documentations before you get to the house and do work. And to go over more of how we are going to upload those quality install documentation, I'm going to pass it back over to Audrey again, who's going to go over the specifics of that. Audrey, I believe that you're muted if you are speaking.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, thank you. So let me go backwards a little bit here. Thank you for calling that out. So for step one, of course, you need to enter the new appliance make and the new appliance model for the appliance installation if you do request, to receive payment for this and reimbursement for this scope. Then you need to verify that you have provided the original equipment manufacturer manual to the customer, and if the existing clothes dryer exhaust vent was sealed. And then for step three, of course, we want to make sure that we select the condensate setup from the drop-down menu and verify, if it's a built-in or the drainage hose is in a sink or if the plumbing's into the drain. Okay, and throughout the quality install documentation uploading process, you will see this message clarifying that geotagging is required, and you will be able to reference these resources multiple times as you're going through this process, where we do provide instructions for capturing that geotagged photo and also transferring the geotagged photo information accordingly to the documents, so that way they are available for the submittal. Okay, and then for the appliance installation, of course, we just want to clarify the photos that are needed. We want to confirm that we have photos of the appliance clearly detailing that the entire appliance has clearances on all sides. You can submit as many pictures as needed with that effort, but we just want to specify that we do need to see the nameplate and tag and sticker with the model and serial number. Also photos of the condensate setup and the existing vent sealed, if applicable. Now, if there is an existing gas appliance, we do also need photos of that disconnected line before the new appliance is installed. So we want to make sure, as mentioned, we do have the location sharing permissions turned on when taking these photos to confirm that the geotag does link to the household as intended. And then once you submit those photos, of course, you'll be able to click upload photos to upload the photos accordingly. And then you should see green check marks to clarify that the upload is complete. Once you see those green check marks, please select done to move forward to the next step. Once you see those photos are uploaded, you'll be asked to attest that all of the uploaded images are from this project. As you can see here, I changed the naming convention to match that of the applicant's home to make sure that it did match accordingly, and then clicking save and next to proceed forward. The next step would be to provide information about the electrical panel. We do request information about the existing electrical panel. We do need to specify the max amps to household and also the number of open breaker spots. And then we also need the new electrical panel information to include the maximum amps for the household and the number of open breaker spots. So we have left a section here, of course, that's optional to add any relevant project notes for the panel upgrades as needed. An example of something that would be helpful would be to indicate if it's a main service panel or if it's a sub panel. But of course, you can include any details that you think our processing team would need to review just to clarify understanding here. Okay, and then whenever we get to the electrical panel rebate, of course, we need you to calculate the customer's electrical panel rebate by clarifying those material cost and the labor cost. So just for clarification here, this is the amount being requested for reimbursement from NYSERDA, specifically for the materials and the labor. So this information is to be properly documented and clarified on the physical invoice, which should match this electrical invoice submission too, for billing and accountability purposes. As a reminder, they do need to match. Okay, and then you move on to the next portion for the electrical service panel, where we ask you to upload photos accordingly. We do need photos of the existing electrical panel, the existing electrical service, of course, to show the number of open breaker spots. And then we need the new photos of the new electrical panel to show those breaker spots, the electrical service, and of course, just showing that everything was done in accordance with our program expectations, just to verify that everything was done safely and correctly. And of course, we would need the electrical load calculations in the event that you're, installing for a sub panel in that regard too. We'll cover that more in additional slides. But similar to the previous rebates that we would be requesting in different upgrades, you would just need to select upload photos to upload the photos accordingly. Once you see those green check marks to verify that you uploaded all of the photos that were being requested, you can then select done to move forward to the next measure that you'll be requesting. So as a reminder, again, you need to just make sure to attest that all of the photos are relevant to the project and select save and next to move forward additionally. Once you're on that next measure for the electrical wiring, then similar to the other ones, you would just need to make sure to notate the material and labor cost accordingly. As a reminder, this is what you are requesting for reimbursement from NYSERDA for the particular project measure and incentive being listed here. You'll be able to enter that data accordingly and also add an optional note for review. An example of a helpful note would be that, the 4 conductor number 10 for the American wire gauge copper, is from the panel to the dry receptacle. Anything that you think might help our quality install review team to clarify what was shared, what was uploaded, and what we're looking at. Okay, and then you'll also, again, you'll be able to select upload photos and share accordingly. So the details listed on the screen, of course, is available whenever you are uploading this quality install documentation. Just as a reminder of the expectations of what we're looking for the existing panel and the existing wiring outlet to be removed or left in place. And then also the new outlet wiring showing the grounded and ungrounded conductors connecting to the outlet accordingly. So you'll be able to reference that information here to clarify both before installation and also after installation, where we will need photos with the cover on and the door open, showing the directory labeled, and also the cover off, showing all of the completed wiring, making sure that everything is in accordance with the program manual. As we are not at the job site, right, this is the best way that we can visualize what you're doing and how you did it. And as mentioned, you can clarify anything you need to in the additional notes section. Once you find the photos that we need to upload for the quality install documentation, you will, of course, upload the photos and then select done once you see those green check marks specifying that you did upload the photos accordingly. Once you've uploaded those photos, then you'll be able to attest that all of the photos are connected to this project, and then click Save and Next to move forward to the next step of the QI submission process. The very last step, of course, is the project invoice. And as mentioned previously, you want to make sure that your physical invoice matches what you submitted electronically. So please ensure that the calculations for the customer's electrical panel and wiring rebates are noted accordingly on the invoice. In addition to this, we need you to include the installation dates to clarify when you did the installation measures and when the project was marked as completed. You do need to mention the customer's name and site address. This does need to match the project applicant address accordingly to be verified. And of course, we just need to clarify what work was done and how you proceeded forward. Once you clarify that your physical invoice matches the electronic invoice, then you'll be able to click Upload Files to share the customer invoice respectively. Once you upload that photo, you'll see that green check mark as we mentioned before. You'll be able to select done to move forward to the next step. And then you just need to attest that the invoice is accurate and to the best of your knowledge to move forward, and then click save and next to continue. Okay, after confirming the electronic invoice matches as intended, then you click the redeem and submit button. It just makes sure that everything does match as intended, where we ask a couple of times, are you sure? Once you click redeem and submit, then the project status would change to say, congratulations, you have submitted documentation for review. We just want to call out that once you have submitted your quality install documentation for review, you are no longer able to upload additional information until after we perform our review. So let's say you run into a complication where you may have accidentally moved forward and forgot to submit something like the invoice. You can certainly email our team to let us know, hey, I would like to have my application open back up or the quality install documentation portion reopened to allow me to submit this documentation. It's okay. You can certainly work with our team, and we're more than happy to support this effort. Okay, now we will review the quality install documentation expectations, including adjusting your phone settings for the geotag requirements. So I will pass the floor back over to Colleen for this effort.
Thank you, Audrey. You can go to the next slide, please. So now we are inviting all of you to take out your cell phones or your tablets, whatever you would be using to take these images for the quality install documentation. And if you just, I'll give you guys a minute to just kind of get set up there. We do just want to go over adjusting your settings for getting this geolocation turned on. So I'm going to start with the iOS tablets. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to open settings. And then once you get to settings, this screenshot is, I think, a little bit old. So if you don't find it in this kind of section right here, you're just going to want to search up the privacy and security once you're within settings. And then once you're there, you're going to click into location services. And then once you click into location services, you're just going to turn that on. So it'll turn green. And then within that, so you're just going to kind of keep scrolling down. You're going to go to your camera app, and then you're going to open camera. And you would do the same thing for Chrome or whatever web browser that you're going to be using. So I'm going to be doing the steps for camera, but it'll apply to that web browser that you're using. So once you open camera, you're just going to click in there, and you're going to change to while using the app. So you're just going to click that. It should be checked off. And then you're also going to toggle precise location. All right. And then I'll go over the steps for using an Android smartphone or an Android tablet. So the first thing you're going to want to do, again, is just go into your device settings. You will select locations. You can search this, or you can find it here. Once you are in location, you are going to toggle use location. And then once you do that, you're going to open that application permissions. And once that happens, you're again going to scroll to your camera in whatever browser that you're using in separate steps. So first, you're going to open that camera app. And you are going to make sure that it says allow while using the app. And again, enable that precise location. And you'll just repeat those steps for whatever web browser app that you're using. I'm going to pass it over to Frank, who's going to go over some of those quality install documentation expectations as well.
Frank, you may need to come off mute if you are currently talking. Frank, are you able to come off mute?
Doesn't look good.
There we go. Yep, I can hear you now.
Okay, I apologize for that. Okay, thank you, Audrey. Thank you, Colleen, for the introduction. Okay, we may repeat a few things, so bear with us because we want to make sure you get it. Good afternoon, everybody. As we don't get to visit the site, your documents and photos should provide a clear picture of your scope of work. Okay. Now, all of the photos must be geotagged, and for site verification, be sure to include before and after photos. Include photos of the main service disconnect with the cover on and with the cover off, showing the grounding electrode conductor, the equipment grounding conductor, and the neutral all bonded together. Or for a sub panel, you have to show the equipment grounding conductor and the neutral isolated from each other. When installing a sub panel, be sure to include a photo of the main service disconnect or main service panel that's feeding the sub panel, so we can see that scope, what's taking place. Okay, circuit breakers should be labeled, especially the dryer breaker. Okay, and the breaker should be clear enough that we can read the trip setting off the handle of the breaker. Breakers are to be new and of the same brand as the panel manufacturer when you're replacing the panel, or they have to be listed suitable for use by that panel manufacturer. This information is typically on the back of the door of the panel. Okay. Okay. We can go to the next slide, I believe, right? Okay. The dryer outlet should be a NEMA 14-30R receptacle. Now, NEMA is the National Electric Manufacturers Association. The 14-30R is their configuration for basically a 30 amp receptacle. Okay, so provide before and after photos with the covers off and the covers on once you have it installed. We can go, so you can do surface or recessed, doesn't really matter. We also want you to make sure you provide a 4-wire number 10 American wire gauge AWG circuit, and that's per NEC 250-140. NEC is the National Electric Code. Article 250 is the grounding section of the code, and 250-140 specifically deals with grounding of appliances. So that's why that's the reference for that. Okay. Now this all should be fed from a 30 amp 2-pole circuit breaker. When not installing a new panel, be sure to include a photo of the existing panel with the cover off, showing the dryer circuit breaker and the wire terminating on that breaker. Okay, let's go to the next slide here. Okay, again, provide geotag photos. Provide photos indicating the manufacturer or make, model, serial number. All that information on the dryer needs to be provided, and all that should be, again, geotagged. Provide a photo of the dryer plugged in and energized, which meaning power on, lit up, so we can tell that it has power to it. Provide a photo of the condensate lines connected where applicable. Not all of the units have condensate lines, but where applicable, please include that. All right. We also want you to provide a photo of the NEMA 14-30P, which is the plug-in cord assembly attached to the back of the dryer. Again, these are all 4 wires. Okay. When installing a 120 volt dryer, we want you to provide a photo of a listed adapter that can convert the 240 volt outlet to 120. You know, occupants can change, and you want to make sure that the outlet is compatible. So that would be an example of that would be a NEMA 14-30P to a 5-20R adapter. Okay. They make those, so shouldn't be that hard. Be sure to double check your photos while you're still on the site to make sure they're clear and that the geotagging is functioning. Next, we're already on the next slide. Okay. When replacing a gas dryer, provide photos of the capped gas lines. Also provide a photo of the vents being sealed. And it's important to insulate these also because they are, a draft to the outside. It's a bypass through the insulation. So we want it insulated. Also include the dryers must be installed indoors, not subject to freezing temperatures. That's important, like garages, things like that may be too cold for them. The ground fault circuit interrupters or arc fault circuit interrupters requirements may apply depending on the location of where the dryer is in the home. The revised program manual will require that a minimum panel size will be of 200 amps for single family and 100 amps per units in anything 2 to 4 family dwellings, with a minimum available fault current of 22,000 amps interrupting capacity, or AIC. You can provide calculations or utility requirements for locations that require higher or lower values. Okay, underground electric services. For existing underground electric services, contractors will be allowed to add sub-panels if they provide load calculations with the application and submit that. Adequate working space in front of panels and disconnects has to be maintained. Also, be sure to fill in the date on the invoice that you've completed the work, the invoice that you're going to submit to NYSERDA for payment. That's very important. Refer to the manual for future updates and revisions, okay? And with that, I'm going to turn it back to Audrey so she can finish up discussing the quality inspection review process. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Frank. I just want to clarify for the quality install documentation submittals, I'm just going to give a high-level overview of how we review this. So this review process occurs within 1 to 7 business days, of course, dependent upon any possible tech issues or what might be experienced when submitting based on your experience with the customer or you as the contractor, or also even on our end. So we do appreciate patience as we navigate that. So what we review, of course, is for the geotagging. First of all, the team confirms that the coordinates from the uploaded QI documentation match the applicant project address. So if the coordinates do not match, or if they are not present, then the review is completely halted and a denial notice is shared with you via email mentioning that this is not available for review. So all photo submissions are reviewed to clarify, first of all, as we mentioned, the geotagging, but also to confirm that the work completed meets all program requirements. We want to make sure that what was submitted is clear, that what is being requested was submitted accordingly, and that we do have the requested photos. Again, a denial notice will be shared via email in the event that we don't have the necessary photos to review the work that was completed per project measure. Additionally, what we review is the invoice. So our team validates that the physical invoice you submit matches the electronic submission and also includes the project completion date. As we mentioned, this is a requirement when you're submitting that physical invoice. We want to confirm that the equipment and material cost plus the labor cost match what is being requested for the electronic submission calculation tool. You can reference the slides that we referenced a moment ago. Just to clarify that they do match accordingly. If they do not match, let's say if you request more with your physical invoice but less with the electronic invoice, this will also be subject for denial to clarify that they are intended to match. So we do want details to clarify what your equipment and material cost was in addition to the labor cost, just to clarify understanding of what you are requesting both from us and the customer as an accountability model. So submittals are reviewed for compliance with the program and the New York State Uniform Building Codes. So we just want to clarify additionally that the QI documentation review process is not a substitute for code compliance, permits, or the authority having jurisdiction inspections, but NYSERDA as a funding authority can set program standards and expectations as a whole for the Appliance Upgrade Program. Okay. So now, in the event that your quality install documentation is denied, right, this calls for resubmission. So I just wanted to clarify what this means and what we're looking for. So documentation denial reasoning is shared particularly with you as a participating contractor. As mentioned, this is shared via email. Whenever you are asked to re-upload quality install documentation, you do so directly within My Energy Portal. We do not want you to email photos to us, as this might contain sensitive information to an applicant. We want to refrain from sharing any of that documentation via email. So please make sure to use My Energy when you are resubmitting that quality install documentation. We want to use the Find or Redeem Coupon feature and use the installation code in addition to the customer's last name, as similarly referenced before, to look up the account. In the event that you need support with this effort or have questions about what to do with your revisions, you are certainly encouraged to email us at IRA Retail, and then our team will provide support and your resubmission of that QI documentation. Okay, some of the denial reasoning is very helpful to understand what we are looking for versus what we're not looking for. So that way you can try to get this submitted more adequately, especially in the event that it's rejected. So a reasoning for denial could be lack of proper documentation. So for example, the load calculations that we mentioned would be required for sub-panel installation in a 1 to 4 family home with the existing underground electrical service. If you don't include those load calculations, this could be a reason for rejection in the event that you are installing for that sub-panel, where we would review those photos and clarify that accordingly. So another reason would be the lack of the geotagged pre and or post installation photos, where we do have multiple resources for making sure that you do have this resource. But as mentioned, you can always call us or email us to request support in adjusting your settings and clarify that you do know how to access the geotag tools and resources accordingly. Another reason, as mentioned, would be if the geotagging doesn't match the applicant address, as it is hard to confirm that the work was done at the house if we can't have the geotagging linked directly to the house. So a common reason why this might happen is if you wait to share photos maybe from your office, or you send them to someone in the office and they upload those photos, then the address that would be pinged, for example, may link to your office as opposed to the direct location that you use to take the photo. So just something to keep in mind of why that might happen or why it may not match accordingly. The physical invoice not matching the electronic invoice is also a reason for denial. So the material and labor costs are to be included, and they must match. If they do not match, again, that outreach is going to happen to clarify as such. Another reasoning would be that the requested photos are just missing, right? That just something's not there, and we need to make sure that everything was there accordingly. We want to make sure that both the panel on and off is there to clarify any labels accordingly, as referenced in previous slides, and also referenced by Frank. So in addition to that, we want to make sure that the photos are clear and viewable, able to be opened. For example, we do have difficulty opening the HIC formatted photos within our system, so we might conduct outreach to clarify. We might need you to change that to a JPEG for us to review. And of course, there is a possibility of insufficient, unsatisfactory, or unsafe work completed. We want to make sure that everything was done safely and satisfactorily, not just for yourselves, right, but for the customer and just in general for a better overall experience. A good example would be if we are lacking the grounding wire, right? We want to make sure that we have this done properly, right? So as mentioned before, we're not able to visit your job site. So the only way that we can see what you did is if you do submit those photos, and we hope to not have to send someone to review that work. So please make sure that you send enough documentation to review what you did and clarify how you proceeded forward with that. And if you need support, as mentioned, on the job site or just in general, you can always email our team, and we'll be happy to provide that support for you. You can review those slides, as mentioned before, for a walkthrough of the QI submittal process, where you just upload a new photo submission accordingly per project measure. So in the event that documentation is denied, what it essentially does is open that My Energy Portal record back up for you to be able for you to be able to follow the steps from beginning to end, to upload the new photos and the revised photos per measure as requested. Okay, so now I will stop to address any questions and receive feedback. Does anyone have any questions with that? So if you do, we encourage you to possibly raise your hand or maybe drop a message in the chat for us, and we can address that accordingly. Yes, I see Christian Farella with your hand raised. Okay, I have given you the permission to unmute. Christian, if you can select to unmute your microphone, that would be wonderful. Okay, not a problem. If you would like to drop that in chat, I'm not sure why it's not letting you unmute. I apologize for that. But yeah, since I've called on you, Christian, if you could drop your message in the chat, we can try to address that. Okay, I do see a message from Jesse whenever I open the floor for questions. So I can go ahead and address that question real quick. When you said, how long can we expect the payment for the appliance rebate? So once we are able to review the quality install documentation, that is when we're able to, push it to completed and then submit that payment to the finance team. Where the payment would be able to be processed within, I believe it is a week. Ryan, I'm unsure if you would like to come off mute actually to address that for confirmation. 15 days. Yes. Okay, thank you. 15 days. Thank you for that confirmation, Amara. Of course, Jesse. And then I see Matthew Lee mentioned, so the minimum capacity of the panel for one family is 200 amp, which means if a client has a small panel, can we upgrade it? So Frank, if you don't mind coming off mute to address that question by Matthew, that would be wonderful.
Sure, no problem. Matt, yeah, this is Frank. If you can justify upgrading the panel because the existing panel, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Anybody? Audrey, can you hear me?
We can hear you, Frank.
Okay. In other words, if you meet the requirements to justify that you need a new panel, which means that there's either not any breaker space left or the load is not sufficient to support the dryer, like, yes, you can upgrade to a 200. We don't want you to go below the 200 for a single family house. In a 2 to 4 unit, it's a different thing because your service size is still much larger and it may be broken down as 4 individual 100 amp panels. Okay.
Perfect. Thanks, Frank. Okay, so the next question that we have is from Doug, where he said, if a customer was approved for Empower, do they need another application for AUP? The answer is yes. These are 2 separate programs, so we do require an application for both of those programs. So if someone is approved for Empower, they likely will be approved for the Appliance Upgrade Program, but we do still require a separate application. Okay, and then the next question was from Christian, which we called a moment ago. If the grounding has to be done, does that qualify for panel payment?
It depends on what grounding you're talking about. If the grounding that we're looking at specifically would be the grounding of the main electric service and how that transfers back either through a sub panel and eventually comes to the appliance. So the replacement of the panel is really what the panel is for. The rest would be part of the wiring, in my opinion. That if the electric service should be grounded to start with. So did that answer your question?
I just realized it gave me the access to talk.
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
So basically what I'm saying is in certain scenarios, somebody could have got like the panel done illegally or whatever the case may be. And the panel will be a brand new panel, but it's not grounded to the water main or there's no ground rods. So therefore, if I have to obviously bring the grounding system up to code, would I be able to put that into, instead of it being a panel swap, hey, listen, it was $1,000, $2,000. I had to run to the water main, put ground rods outside before I connected a new circuit to a dangerous system.
I think we should talk about that privately because I'm leaning towards no, because that may be a cost to the customer that, for somebody that didn't do the work correctly. In other words, you could charge more to the customer, but it may not be reimbursable. Because you're not replacing the panel, you're just correcting an error or a code violation that is existing.
Okay, that makes sense. And then it would be up to our professional opinion as master electrician stating, hey, this panel has to be swapped out due to insufficient space or multiple tandem breakers or corrosion or burn marks on old breakers or outdated panel, and that goes to our professional opinion that it needs to be done, or is there qualifications that you have set that we must meet?
Well, there's certain things. Again, this is Frank. There's certain things you can do. Like, for example, if you may have load calculations, there's no additional space left. They've already added tandem breakers in the panel. It's pretty much maxed out in the space. It really needs to get upgraded. You look inside it. Maybe some of the wiring is extremely old. It's old cloth jacketed stuff, or you have a Federal Pacific split bus panel that has been out of date for 50 years, or you've got a fused panel with screw and plug fuses. I mean, there's an opportunity there is the way to upgrade and do it right.
Okay.
Yes.
So basically it comes down to our professional knowledge and our professional judgment stating this has to be done, and it's fairly obvious for us and you guys to justify it.
If you ever have a question, like they said, email us. We'll get back to you. You can send us a couple of pictures and say, this is what I found. Are you going to support me on this? I want to upgrade it. It's my opinion that it needs to be done.
Understood.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Yep.
Perfect. Thank you. We'll pass the floor over to Jean. Yes, I saw you had your hand raised.
Yes, hi, this is Jane. Good afternoon. For your, information, some of them we truly understand that our company is already qualified 2 months, both for retail and contractor, both. We are certified already. Unfortunately, when our customer came, we try to, help them, from the internet for the application. But because we cannot go through, because the name for the application, we don't have the list on. So when we fill a King J Garden, it pop up, you cannot fill in. What can we do?
So we can handle this on our end. If you could send an email to our team, we can address it accordingly. But this would be considered one of those one-off situations where we will resolve your issue, especially if there is an access concern. Just please make sure to email us so that way our team can circle back internally and get you all set. Okay, so if you could please email iraretail@nycerta.ny.gov, we can certainly aid with this effort. Okay, Jean?
And I'm going
Okay.
to butt in and just say
Hopefully,
that
because we wait for 2 months already. Every time we call Mr. Cullen, and then he tried his best, but we have the name list, the list already. But in the application form, no list on without our company's name. That's the problem. Thank you.
Of
Hopefully we
course.
can solve. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean.
Thank you for
and
your
thank you
help.
for your patience. Of course.
I think you give.
Okay, so now I see ADH Group with your hand raised next.
Hi, I would like to confirm something. We just recently installed combo dryer and washer machine. Okay, the point is, it wasn't a 220 voltage in terms of bolting, but the installation was done with 115 volts. So on the previous slide that you had, you said that was an adapter that needs to be installed. So because with 110 the regular outlet was installed on this particular project, so there is an additional adapter that has to be done in there.
Yeah, so this would be an example of a time where we would want you to share an email of your specific questions. So that way we could make sure to review your project measure. So if you could send an email to IRA Retail regarding the specific concern, then we can address this accordingly if that's okay, ADH Group. We appreciate your patience.
Yep. And can I add one thing? I would want to know if this is a project that's, you're doing now, or is it already done?
Well, we just installed it last week. We installed it yesterday.
So it's complete.
I mean, it's just recently we have been having issues to get into the submission of the paperwork. Actually, we contact people already. We try to email this email, but with no response at all. So we're trying to, guessing. So we already did this project. The installation was done yesterday. All paperwork is done, and we were expecting to this training to get done and clarify all the doubts in order to submit the application. But with this, you just mentioned about the receptacle, so probably we must change or install additional things. So we would like to clarify that.
Well, see, the problem with the 120 is now the unit is not up to speed for the next tenant, next occupant, or whoever else. People change their dryers. They may not like that unit later. And so the code recognizes that as a standard outlet. The fact that you've already got it completed, you know, we may consider it because it's already done and the new manual hasn't been released yet. But going forward, we don't want to do that.
Well, the point is that machine was available in the list of the NYSERDA. So if it's a 110 machine, so what is it available in the list?
It's not about the thing. I'm talking, it's about the outlet that was installed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's why I said you can do it with the adapter going forward if that's the one you want to use. Okay. Because the code and what we're doing, all the wiring and everything is standardized based on the receptacle that's being installed. If you install a 120 volt outlet, not every dryer can plug into that. So we can't call it a dryer outlet because the code doesn't recognize it as such.
Yes,
Okay.
so I'll just take this for a moment. So
Okay.
ADH Group, we would like for you to email us with your particular concern, and that way we can review accordingly. So if you could provide the application record information, we can make sure to provide that coaching. Either, you know, we'll make sure to do that privately to make sure that we're all squared away. But thank you. Okay, so I see Norman with your hand raised next. If you'd like to come off mute with your question.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay, so we participate in both the Empower program and the Appliance program. And we have two different customers that need a panel that needs like the heat pump dryer before we can proceed with the Empower project or complete the Empower project. So can both of these projects go simultaneously, or do we have to close out the Empower, open up the Appliance when that's done, then go back and have them reapply for Empower?
It's the latter. For clarification, that since they can't participate in both at the same time, we can't tap into the funding pool for both projects simultaneously. So since you've identified that the electrical wiring and panel needs to be upgraded first, we would encourage you to move forward with the Appliance Upgrade Program application first. So you should assist with the cancellation of that Empower Plus application, and then once the Appliance Upgrade Program, once the Appliance Upgrade project is completed, then you should have the applicant reapply for Empower. Does that help close the loop and understanding for you, Norman?
It does. Just FYI, I had a conversation with Empower customer support last week and told them that, and they told me I was incorrect and that I could do both simultaneously. So it might be beneficial if you guys have a conversation with Empower as well.
Understood. Thank you so much for that feedback, Norman. We will make sure to work on that on our end. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Of course. Alicia, so you have your hand raised. If you'd like to come off mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So I sent it in the chat a couple of times. We have a couple customers whom are essentially they need service upgrades as well as the appliance program on top of it. But there are some cases where, so we have a customer who they currently have a 200 amp panel and there is available space, but ideally they have an outdated, unsafe panel. So there's no like pre-approval process from what I'm understanding as to, hey, we're going to go ahead and do this install and then we upload everything. And if that's to come back as rejected as, hey, you didn't need to swap out that panel, is the contractor just supposed to eat that credit? Because to go back to the customer and be like, oh, just kidding, Appliance Upgrade Program didn't really approve your panel swap out, but we already did it. And then they're not going to pay that $4,000 difference. Is there a pre-approval in place, or is it just email you guys every single time if there's questions?
What's the justification for upgrading the service?
They have an outdated panel.
by in other words, just define outdated.
So you can't get breakers for this panel anymore.
Okay, so it's obsolete. It's no longer in manufacture. Do you know the manufacturer?
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me, but
Okay. I would say send us a photo and in the email and just say that it's obsolete. We can't get breakers for this panel anymore. Okay.
Yes. What I would also add to that, Frank, to answer that question additionally, whenever you are submitting the QI documentation, this would be an example of what you include in the additional comments section because you are completing the work to upgrade the panel. You're specifying why you're doing so. We would consider those additional notes as mentioned, as you stated that that it's obsolete, right? So we would understand at that point why you are upgrading the panel and why you are submitting that material and labor cost. So that would be something that we would review and it would be able to move forward based on you doing that work. We would confirm that reimbursement if that makes sense.
okay, thank you.
And more detail, the better. So you can say
Exactly.
It's a Federal Pacific split bus panel or something that is so far out of range that you can't get parts for it, and it's not safe. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Jean, I see you have your hand raised again.
I have the other question. I just want to make sure. First of all, our problem, I had to email to you. I want to make sure the email address is ira.retail@nyscrda.ny.gov. Is it this email address?
Yes, we can also drop that in the chat to clarify, ira.retail@nyserta.ny.gov, and we can address your concern, Jean. Thank you.
Okay. On the other hand, I also need to read the manual. Where I can get the manual for the...
That is also on our webpage, which we will also share details and information following this session. And we can likely have a member of our team also drop the link to where that is on our website as well. Thank you for asking that question, Jean.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really
Of course.
appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. We have time for just a few more questions, so I'll get in as many as we can. As a reminder, anyone that we can't get to, please go ahead and drop your questions in the chat. That way we can document those questions and make sure that we get to them at a later time. Elizabeth, I believe that you were next.
Yes, ma'am. Hi, thank you for doing this conference. Now, you guys said that we could sign up using our electrician or our plumber.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You said we have to sign up with this initiative using our electrician or our plumber?
I'm not sure I follow the question, but yes, we do need to make sure that those that are applying to be installers, if you are requesting to assist with the project measures, let's say for electrical wiring incentives or the electrical panel incentives, we do require that to be completed by a licensed electrician. And then for those that are assisting with the gas capping, of course, we may need plumbers to do that based on the municipality. So if you do have questions about your approval as an installer to determine which project measures you're approved for, you can certainly email our team and we can address those concerns to verify eligibility based on your licensing and permissions.
Okay, so I just wanted to verify that. So what if a plumber or electrician dies? Do we have to replace them immediately, or can we subcontract with someone else after you've approved us?
So we would be able to allow subcontracts based on if you're able to provide those credentials, but we do need to review the approval. So based on the example that you provided, Elizabeth, we would want you to meet with our team to send an email specifically of the situation and concern. That way we can circle back with the program team with NYSERDA and clarify eligibility to move forward as an installer. We would just have to review your application submission and confirm that we have all relevant licenses. Does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Mm-hmm.
And I have time for one more question for sure. Hunter, since I see that you have your hand raised.
Hi there. Thank you for doing this. This has been really informative. Just following up on a question that my supervisor, John Pacello, has. Is there a checklist that's available for our field techs, just so we can keep them on track and so that they're able to get all the required documentation?
So we don't have a physical paper documentation of a checklist. However, it is available on the webpage whenever you're going through the QI submittal portion, and also referenced within this slideshow presentation. So we do encourage you to review that documentation and that clarification of the photos that are requested for the checklist, just to confirm what is being requested and what to review. But more to come as well about additional resources that may be available at a later time, as I do think that I've spoken with your supervisor about that feedback and that request from NYSERDA to create material. So we do appreciate that request for material, and we are constantly trying to figure out how to improve our processes. So we can make sure to verify that accordingly too.
Okay, thank you.
Of course, thank you. So with that said, we are at time where it's currently 2:31 p.m. So I'm sorry I couldn't get to everybody's questions, but as a reminder, please feel free to drop your questions in the chat where we do have a team member that is collecting them. We will circle back with the NYSERDA program team to answer any questions that we weren't able to answer live. And then we will also make sure to document responses accordingly. That way you can reference them at a later time. As a reminder, these resources will be available. They will be shared to you, once we have them ready to do so. And if you have other questions that weren't covered today, we strongly encourage you to email our team. Again, that email is iraretail@nyserda.ny.gov. And some questions may be able to be addressed by our customer service representatives at the 866 NYSERDA number. Where if you select option 4, you will be able to reach some of our customer service representatives 7 days a week between 8:30 a.m. and 8 o'clock p.m. Thank you for your time.